I'm sorry. Here.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. September 9th, City Council meeting, City of Greenfield. Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor White,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez, Councilmember Ortiz,
Here.
Councilmember Jones, Councilmember Garcia.
Here.
All right. Item C, this agenda item allows the City Council to excuse the absence of council members not present at the meeting. If all council members are present, this agenda will be skipped. Take public comments on item C. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to council for comments, questions, motions.
I move to excuse Councilmember Jones and Mayor Pro Tem.
All right, need a second?
Second.
Been moved in second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Both are excused. Thank you. All right. Like to call for invocation by Val Garcia, please.
Thank you, Mayor. What would I went to bow your heads in invocation and prayer. Father God, we come before you and we thank you for this meeting. We ask that you be present, Father, in everything that takes place here. And I bless this city. I bless the council. I bless everyone who serves in this city, God, and the people, Lord. And I ask you to just be a part of this meeting, that you'll be our light, our guide, instruction, Lord, in everything that takes place and all decisions that need to be made. In the name of the Lord Jesus, amen.
Now, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we need to amend? I'm here, Anne.
All right, we'll move to item F, the agenda review.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I think we'd like to pull item I4.
All right, we'll move to item F, the
Sorry.
agenda review.
And then also closed session L1.
Okay. So those two items are pulled. All right. We'll now move to item G, public comments from the audience regarding items not on the agenda. This portion of the agenda allows individual the opportunity to address the council on any items not on closed session, consent calendar, public hearings, and city council business. Under state regulations, no action can be taken on non-agenda items, including issues raised under this agenda item. Members of the public should be aware of this when addressing council regarding items not specifically referenced on this agenda. Do we have any public comments tonight?
Okay, last time I had problems with this. Okay. Okay, all right. Okay, hello, I'm Dr. Lourdes Villarreal. On August 26, 2025, I came to address 4 issues. 1, continuing to be denied space to safely put out my trash bins. 2, the problem of abandoned cars getting worse. That very day that I came to speak to you, there was an abandoned car in front of my house, and it took 6 days for that vehicle to finally move. 3, that I had to wait to report it, and then I don't know why, another 3 days for them to actually move, so 6 days in total. Third, the contempt that the police department has for those of us calling to voice our concerns or attempt to make a report. And fourth, the lack of action of city council to handle the vehicle problems that are only getting worse. I received feedback about my concerns, not from anyone in the council or the police department, but others outside of this area who have been in law enforcement, whom I have great respect for, and I wish it was mutual here in Greenfield. Their opinion is that if residents are being met with contempt and annoyance, it could be because the Greenfield Police Department is frustrated. Why? Because possibly the mayor and the city council have not given them the tools to deal with the vehicle problems. Well, I can understand this perspective. I cannot accept that officers and the sergeant would take it out on those of us calling in our concerns or attempting to. The police department cannot have it both ways. On the one hand, encourage us to report problems or suspicious activities, and then on the other hand, become annoyed when we do. What will happen if residents stop making or attempting to make police reports? Or if residents stop caring about their neighborhoods and the city in general, because what's the point? Nothing happens. Worst of all, those of us voicing our concerns become the very targets. Yes, I care about my home. Yes, I care about my street. And yes, I care about my neighborhood park that's like 2 houses down, and the city in general. I am invested in this community. Please take action and show that you too are invested in the well-being and quality of life of its residents, and do something about the vehicle problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and council members here. I'm Jurgen Smith. I am also on the school board, and I have an announcement to make and I think it's appropriate up here, but since you all have a bigger audience that tune in and listen, you all are getting out there to the people, okay? I attended a conference this weekend, and I discovered that Taylor Farms is going to be giving away some money, okay? What we do at the school district level, at the beginning of the year, we test every child for 2 weeks. What are their test grades? How are they doing? Because each child is unique, and each child's brain is unique, and they operate at a different level, okay? Mr. Taylor realized that overall here in Monterey County, not just here in Greenfield, but overall here in Monterey County, the test scores are a little low, okay? So he has created what is known as the program, the Golden Ticket. Well, we automatically thinking Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Well, yeah. Pretty close, okay? Because we're trying to reach out to the kids, okay? And the Golden Ticket is going to be a check that Mr. Taylor is going to be writing to every 3rd grade student, okay? At the end of the year, under the condition the child gets tested at the beginning of the year, so we know what children are behind, okay? And we're trying to also engage the parents, and that's why I'm here. I'm trying to reach out to the public, the parents, the grandparents, because we got to get everybody involved in this. Then at the end of the year, the school district tests every child again, okay? And the program that he has is if every 3rd grade child here in Monterey County, that includes here in Greenfield, it has a grade reading level of 3rd grade. That child is going to receive on promotion, the award ceremony, a check from Mr. Taylor for $250. And I got close to 100 3rd grade students at every one of my elementary schools. I got 4. We have 4. And that means there's a possibility that all 400 of them are going to get a check from Mr. Taylor at the end of the year. So it's all about us all working together, because it takes a village to raise a child, and that's us. We are the village. Let's make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else in chambers? Seeing none, I do see one hand raised.
Beatriz Diaz.
Go ahead, B.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody. I just have this comment. I have some concerns on water contamination on our Walnut Avenue, 12th Street, 14th Street, Pine Avenue, and Mercado camp area. In 2023, community members formed a local committee to organize and advocate long-term drinking water solutions. Community Water Center and community partners have been working together on a state-funded project. My biggest concern is exposure to nitrate in drinking water. It can have a short or long-term effect on all people, especially on infants. 1 to 3 TCP levels typically found in contaminated water, drinking water, are associated with an increase or risk of cancer. Please, let's all work together and support the Community Water Center, a state-funded project. My next thing will be the city. Will the city be searching for a pharmacy now that Rite Aid is no longer at business? Many people depend on their services. In the meantime, they are struggling to get their medication due to some don't have transportation, and some of the people that went to the pharmacy were only a walking distance. There is a pharmacy here out in Greenfield. It's open to the public. They only take phone calls and deliver medication. The problem is that they never answer their phones. I hope and pray that the city is looking into bringing the pharmacy to our city. Last, I was shocked to hear how much City of Greenfield utility deposit was. How is this deposit based on? Where is the interest being applied to? Something is wrong with this picture and should be revisited. A family of 7 just rented a home in our City of Greenfield. $4,000 for first month, $4,000 rent, plus $4,000 deposit. Total to meet on the rented house, they had to pay $14,692. We need rent control. To the city utility required a deposit of $692 for a 48-gallon garbage can. Deposit will be returned within 2 years, and if they're late, 2 years will be start again. Board members, please revisit this deposit. Some people are barely making ends meet. It's either rent or food on their table. Think about that, please. Soledad deposit, I made a few phone calls. It's $200 deposit. And the $200 will be applied at their last bill once they move out of the home. King City, can you imagine? No deposit at all. Gonzalez, $200 utility deposit. Deposits will also be returned when they move out of there. So we gotta work with this. We gotta see what's going on in our city with all this. 692, and the rent control is very needed here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, B. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll come back to council for council comments.
I have heard that the less you say, the more they hear. So I'm going to say only 2 things. First, I appreciate that we care about our children here getting to school safely. There's everybody's responsibility. We can't say it's the kid's fault, the parents' fault, the car's fault, the pedestrian's fault, the school's fault, the city's fault. It's everybody's responsibility to do their part and do it better. And we have to admit to ourselves, do we drive when we have a device in our hands? Are we distracted when we are driving? What can we do to be less distracted, especially when we are approaching school zones? And I know that I've heard from our community about Arroyo Seco School. and Oak Avenue and Cesar Chavez and Vista Verde. Well, that's quite a few schools in different ages, and the high school. And the issues are different. But I am here to plead with, let's begin with drivers. Do your job. My city has done their part in painting the crosswalks, putting up signs, stop signs, giving you information how to drive safely. I need people to do that and put away your cell phone. If you're in a hurry, perhaps we can make a time to get to our schools or work a little earlier so that we're not in such a rush that we can't see the little children that are trying to cross. I know that I got honked behind when I was at Oak Avenue. I came to a stop because there was a child, a little tiny child, shorter than my car, but I got to see them in time to cross in front. And so, yes, I stopped. The car behind became annoyed that I stopped. I understand they did not see the why I stopped. So a little courtesy to each other that perhaps there's a reason why cars are stopping or going slow. And maybe the other part is helping children not walk between cars in the middle of a street and they're crossing with a skateboard or a scooter and they're coming out real quickly. And sometimes we just don't have the feet that move fast enough to hit the brakes in time to avoid a child. So we have to also ask everybody. I've seen our officers are out there. I point them out when I'm with somebody else. There's a car, there's a police officer. Stop, make sure you don't roll it. Because we get distracted by conversations or we're late to work. My second one is that I appreciate that we have rules and regulations to help our city. But I think sometimes we need to go back and look at them and find out when were they written, like our Constitution, for example. Does it need to be amended? What was the purpose for those rules? Do we still have a need for all those rules and regulations? Is the lifestyle that we are living now maybe needing to look at a variance or changes, or maybe even eliminating some rules that don't apply to us anymore? For one city, they decided that they no longer need posts to tie up their horses. And so they got rid of the horse posts. Good reason. So I just want us to do that. And if we are going to have a rule, can we please be consistent and not punish some people for following the rules, and people who aren't following the rules aren't being called out or cited? And it just feels like I can do the same thing, but sitting here in this chair, I have a responsibility to listen to you and hear you and speak to you and try to get as much information as possible. And I spoke with our city manager today that if I can't do what I wanted to do, is help the city, help the people who are coming to me, and listen to them, at least listen to them and respond to their emails and their calls, or come visit them at their home. If I can't even do that, I shouldn't be sitting here. But none of us should be sitting here if we're not getting back to our people. But I'm just going to talk about myself. If I can't help someone, help them build a fence that will protect their children, if there's no room for us to look at an ordinance and change things to protect our people, then I will not be sitting here. I will remove myself, because that's not the point of being here, is to just, you're going to do what you want to do, which was a comment that I read last week. They're going to do what they want to do. I don't want to do what I want to do. I want to do what the people need. And if we can't, I want to be part of that solution. And if we can't change the rule, then what can we do to help? But to simply come up to someone and say, nope, that's the rule. Nope, we can't help you. That's not good enough. That's all I have to say. I'm shaking. I'm so mad right now.
All right, thank you very much. Councilwoman Ortiz.
Good evening. First, I wanted to say that I am in receipt of the letters that were sent out to us regarding the crosswalk for the schools, I'm sorry. And I did talk to city manager about that, who relayed the information to our police department. Really, the only thing, I mean, we can't interfere with the school. The crosswalk people are employed by the school. However, last year we did get them some training through TAMSI, the transportation department. So I can ask again. Normally by December, I think it's December 15th, we have to have them signed up. I'm going to reach out to TAMSI tomorrow and let them know if they do have that available again, if they could come and train some of our cross guards. But I'm not sure where this whole thing stands with the school right now. And the only other thing is that the mayor and I went to we went to the Relay for Life. At the last meeting, I told everyone that we had put the purple ribbons out for cancer here in Greenfield. We were asked by the Relay for Life to participate. The time was really short, so there was not much that we could do other than painting the town purple and attending their event, which I kind of hoodwinked the mayor into going, which turned out to be a really, really nice event at the National Steinbeck Center in Salinas. And we got this torch, which was presented to all the four South County cities. And when we were given the torch, we were asked to give a commitment to commit next year to hosting Relay for Life. I think what they want to do is they want to do a run from King City to the four cities and head down to Salinas. So we said that we would do that. There will also be some fundraising. I don't know what it looks like yet, but it was an honor for us to be there, for myself to be there. I'll let the mayor say what he's got to say, but it was really nice to support survivors and people who have lost their loved ones. They had banners up and down. They took down the veteran banners and put memorial banners for people who have lost their life to cancer. So it's kind of fitting that today they're giving a proclamation for Jacob's Heart for cancer, Children's Cancer Support Services. That's it.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Hi, good evening, everyone. First of all, I'm very happy to be back. And thank you to my fellow council members for excusing my absence. I have been significantly unwell. I haven't been able to work since July. I am very grateful for my life. I went through some of the scariest things that I've gone through in my life medically, and I am happy to be here. And in addition to that, unfortunately, I do want to share, and maybe I'm oversharing, but I did have my stepmother passed away while I was hospitalized, as well as a childhood friend that is a lifetime resident of the city of Greenfield. So it has been a very trying and difficult month for me. And that's kind of my segue though into, I have a lot of residents that were reaching out to me while I was out. In some of those emails, other council members were copied. And then when I touched base with our city manager, he already knew about the issue, and those residents had already, or somebody was already working on the issues that those residents had reached out about. But nonetheless, I do want to apologize to anybody that reached out to me during the time that I was just like actually incapacitated at some of those times and could not get back to you. I started to get back to some of those messages yesterday. This is my official second day out of the house, like driving myself and feeling like a human again. So I did start to get back to some residents that reached out to me, but there are many, issues that our community reaches out to us for. So it sounds like Councilmember Garcia's received some of those. I know all of us do. But please know that I will be getting back to you, and that I was just completely unable to sooner. Next thing, there are a couple of things that I had gone to an award ceremony before I was out. And it was a recognition for Adela Alvarez. I'm not sure if everybody is aware of who she is in our community, but she organizes a lot of food distribution events, things like that. And she was recognized at a ceremony in Monterey. And I just thought we should be recognizing our hometown heroes that are doing things like this for our community. So I would like to put that out there to council to see if we have a consensus to, I can provide a bio to present a resolution to her for her work that she does for our community. So that was one, and I'm not sure exactly what like the official process would be for that, if you could guide us.
Yeah, I just think if two other city council members want to do that, we can bring the resolution back to a future meeting.
Okay.
It looks like they're all nodding their heads.
Okay,
Yes.
excellent. Great. And I can provide a bio, like I said, with more information that I received. And then the only other thing that, oh no, I'm sorry, I have two more things. There's a program that's being led by Councilmember Cabrera in Soledad to install signage in parks that promotes accessibility. So some of the signs have like common sign language, like more or things like that. And Supervisor Lopez's office has agreed to pay for the signs, 2 per city, but the city has to pay for the installation. So if we agree to do that, I would like to ask that we put that also on the next agenda to discuss that as an action item to see if we can pay for that installation so we can get them. It's my understanding every other city in South County did it already, like passed it already, and some are getting installed. So I'd really like to see that happen. We can decide which signs we want and what park we put them in, but I think that would be a great thing for us to do. And then lastly, when I came onto council, although I was out, I did try to catch up and watch the meetings that I missed. We're hearing a lot of stuff about the murals that are going up in other cities. And then I heard your awesome idea about like the roadmap thing. Because the Arts Council does do something like that already, where once a year they do, well, it's only annually, but for everybody that doesn't know, I think this is something that we should incorporate. Places in Greenfield, although right now we don't have like a bright, beautiful new mural to showcase. But also thanks to Supervisor Lopez's a donation from his office, I'm now gonna be able to begin the process to hopefully get a mural installation, a new mural installation here in Greenfield. When I came onto council way back, it feels like now, I shared that I have a deep passion for the arts and beautifying our community. And it's been pretty difficult to actually make anything happen, but I'm hopeful that with this donation from his office that I'll be able to hit the ground running with getting a mural installed. I do have a very public wall in mind. I don't want to shoot myself in the foot, but I'm going to start doing that work, the legwork to make that happen, hopefully. And once we make that happen, I'd love to do what you said and include Greenfield as a stop for people to come here, check out our mural too, along with the others beautiful new murals across Monterey County, spend their lunch money here and get something to eat and all of that good stuff. So that is all I have. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you very much. Welcome back, by the way.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
All right, I do have a few things. Just want to announce this Thursday, September 11th, the city of Greenfield will be observing Patriot Day. We will be holding a ceremony in front of the city hall at 8:40 to honor the memory of those killed in the 9/11 terrorist attack. So if you're able to attend, it's 8:40 on Thursday. Remind everyone about the October 19th Harvest Festival coming up. It'll be one day this year. It's going to be change of locations. It's going to be from Maple Avenue down to the gazebo. So please attend if at all possible, but it's coming up. So put it on your calendar. I attended the Monterey Bay Division League of Cities meeting last night in Hollister. Our special guest speaker was Supervisor Chris Lopez, who went over his new role as a coastal commissioner and how he's trying to change the tone on the coastal commission. So he did a really nice presentation. Monterey County Mayors Association met here in Greenfield last Friday, and I want to thank City Manager Paul Wood for his presentation about all the things that are happening in Greenfield. You made us look very active and very good. Thank you. All right, and finally, last week, as Councilwoman Ortiz said, I attended the Relay for Life kickoff event. The actual relay is September the 20th from 4 to 9 in downtown Salinas. It benefits, of course, the American Cancer Society. Please contribute if you can, or participate in a relay. It's super, it's a really good cause. We heard a lot of more details about all the things that are involved with helping various families who have been stricken. That's it for me. Thank you very much. We'll move to consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and may be approved by one action of the City Council unless a request for removal for discussion or explanation is received prior to the time Council votes on the motion to adopt. Do we have any public comments on consent calendar? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to Council for items I1, 2, and 3.
Just a question. I don't have to abstain being absent, right? Because as long as I know they are correct, I watch the meetings and, okay. And move to adopt.
Move to adopt. Do we have a second?
Second.
Then moved and second, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. We'll move to mayor's presentations, proclamations, and communication resolutions. We do have one proclamation tonight. Proclamation of the City of Greenfield honoring Jacob's Heart, Children's Cancer Support Services, and declaring September 2025 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas the character of our community is revealed in how we treat the most vulnerable, and whereas each year 19.2 in every 100,000 children in our community will be diagnosed with cancer, and whereas cancer remains the leading cause of death by disease among children, more than asthma, diabetes, cystic fibrosis, congenital abnormalities, and AIDS combined. And whereas Jacob's Heart has been keeping medically fragile children and families housed, fed, and emotionally supported by steadfastly adhering to the following commitments. 1, parents of children with cancer and other serious illnesses will be relieved of financial fears and able to focus the attention on their children. Number 2, no child undergoing intensive treatment in our community will be homeless. Number 3, families of serious ill children will not experience food insecurity during and after the pandemic. And number 4, no child seriously ill in our community will ever miss a medical appointment because of a lack of transportation. And whereas Jacob's Heart holds the memories and honors the legacies of hundreds of children from our local community have been lost to cancer, ensuring their memories will never be forgotten. And whereas the Oncology Department and Lucille Packard's Children's Hospital at Stanford has worked closely with Jacob's Heart for the past 27 years as a trusted community partner in providing family-centered care that addresses emotional, practical, and financial struggles of families of children with cancer in the city of Greenfield. And whereas it is important for all Greenfield City residents to recognize the impact of pediatric cancer on families within our community and honor the children in our community whose lives have been cut short by cancer. Now, therefore, I, Robert White, Mayor of the City of Greenfield, hereby declare September 2025 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Greenfield, and do hereby honor Jacob's Heart, Children's Cancer Support Services for outstanding support to our community and acknowledge the organization's contributions to Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Do we have anybody to accept this tonight?
Right here.
Right. City Council business, K1. Adopt a resolution, City Council, City of Greenfield awarding professional services contract to Harrison Associates in the amount not to exceed $28,220 of design services for basis for design report for the replacement of the tidal lift station, and authorizing city manager to negotiate and execute this contract and assign additional work in accordance with this resolution. Staff report, please.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. At the July 24th, 2025 City Council meeting, a professional services design service contract for the Tyler Lift Station replacement with Harris and Associates was presented for approval with a total not to exceed just over $441,000, which was less than the original proposal. After further negotiation, a resolution was not met, and the contract was further negotiated to reduce the scope and complete a basis of design report in the amount of $28,220. A basis of design is a document written by the designer or engineer of record. It serves to capture many aspects beyond what you might find in specifications or design drawings and introduces narrative statements on the thought process behind major design decisions. It provides the designer's underlying motivators and the why behind their design decisions. The basis of design report will include data collection and review of available documents, including record drawings, reports, testing results, maintenance records, and the like, and a hydraulic analysis and pump physical constraints analysis, preliminary research and general electrical design approach, and recommended options. The basis of design report does not include design plans or specifications for bid documents. The funding for this project is from the Sewer Impact Fund, and the estimated total cost is within the existing capital budget. Questions?
How is this different from what was brought to us before? Just can you kind of,
Yes, so the basis of design report is a very, I would say, narrowed, simplified report. So it really gets into like the head of the engineer of why they're wanting to design something a certain way. They take all the data that they have and they analyze it and come up with different solutions that would work in this location. So it's not going to be just here is solution A and this is what you should have designed. It's going to take into account solution A and solution B and possibly solution C. And then it will also provide an engineer's estimate. There'll be an art-like like a hand drawing, just a real quick sketch of what the unit may look like and how to proceed in making that decision. So then we can bring that back. We can discuss it internally, we'll bring it back to council to decide what would be the best design for the replacement of that lift station. And then we would move either into a design build project or go out to bid for plans and specs, and then again for construction. So it would actually help us through that entire process to make those decisions.
so we're taking multiple steps as opposed to doing it all in one lump sum, like 1 month.
Yes, so this is,
Last time.
yes, definitely. This is the most basic thing that we can do to figure out what would be in the best interest of the city and in that area for a lift station. You know, they will come out with different engineers' estimates for the different solutions, which could have an effect on where we decide to go with that.
Because this was the item where it was nearly $500,000 for the report, correct?
Well, that was for much more than just the
A more
report.
detailed report.
It was for complete plans and specifications that would go out to bid for construction.
Any other questions from council?
So this is not going to be the final cost,
No,
No.
but it's more manageable.
it's more manageable, $28,220. And this is going to assist us in getting to where we need to be. It'll provide us with, like it says, a basis of design with different options that will also have rough engineers' estimates with them, so we can determine what will work best for the city.
Thank you.
All right, I'll open this item up for public comment. Seeing none, I will bring it back to council. Are there any additional questions or a motion?
Move to approve.
Have a motion to approve?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, K2 regarding the 2025 sewer rate and fee studies. Staff report, please.
Good evening, again, Mayor and City Council. On this item, I'm gonna just do a little bit of background. And so, as most people know, that the city is in process of planning improvements to the wastewater system to meet the needs of the growing population and changes in regulatory standards. The city recently completed the process of updating the wastewater collection and wastewater treatment plant master plans and sanitary sewer system management plan. These plans identified the needs for major capital improvements and increased operating costs. The city is also in the process of implementing long-term wastewater improvements to comply with the recently issued waste discharge requirements mandated for the wastewater treatment plant as required by the Central Coast Regional Quality Board. The city is developing a financial strategy to assess these needs, and a major component of the strategy is an adequate rate structure for wastewater services and to fund potential increases in debt services. The city of Greenfield is committed to maintaining a fair, equitable, and financially sustainable sewer enterprise system that meets operational, maintenance, and capital improvement needs. To achieve this, it is essential to regularly update sewer service charges and connection fees in accordance with state law, financial best practices, and evolving community needs. The city last conducted a comprehensive sewer rate study in 2023. That study assumed that the costs for the wastewater treatment plant upgrades required to meet new state of California standards would be covered by state water quality grants, or as we'll call grant funding. The city has recently been advised that the grant funding requirements have changed and the city no longer qualifies for 100% grant funding. Based on this change, in the grant funding guidelines, new sewer rate and connection fee study is necessary. The city retained RDN to prepare comprehensive rate and fee study on July 22nd, 2025. The final report, which is dated August 27th, presents a 10-year financial plan with a 5-year rate period, cost of service analysis, rate design, and proposed capacity charges to support replacement of the city's wastewater treatment plant and ongoing system needs. And at that point, I'm going to turn it over to Tony Nisich. He's a consultant engineer with M&S Engineers, who's been working really close with us, as well as with our consultant that developed the study, RDN.
Thank you, Jamie. Is this working, City Clerk? Good. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My part, I wanted to just kind of summarize the actions that were taken as Tugel talked about. The summary I'll be doing, there's a full report that's available, this 45-page document that explains this in more detail. So I'm just going to hit the high points of what decisions were necessary to perform the calculations that you're going to see the results of this evening. On the first slide, there we are. You'll see that what we need funding for primarily the new wastewater treatment plant, which is this proposal assumes that we're going to have that plant online in 2029. There is a requirement in our state permit for that date, which is why we chose that date. One of the requirements is in addition to having adequate revenue to do the operations and other expenses, we have to pay for the debt service. The debt service also includes a covenant, either private or public debt service that we cover, have a ratio of, a contingency to cover in case revenues somehow fall or the additional expenses. So we have to maintain that debt service coverage ratio. It's all lending institutions use it. I bring it up because you'll see that as a parameter in the study about why rates need to be what they need to be at certain times in order to maintain that coverage ratio. Because if we ever fall behind the coverage ratio, we would technically be in default of the law. Also has to include our ongoing, we call it pay-as-you-go capital improvement projects. Those have to go through regular maintenance for both the sewer collection system and for the treatment plant, the existing one until we build a new one, and then ongoing new additional expenses for the new plant. There's some assumptions on the increases. The operating expenses are expected to increase about 4.1% a year. You'll see a jump in the operating expenses in fiscal year 2009 because that's when the new plant would come online and there'll be some new additional costs associated with the larger and more efficient plant, but there are additional costs associated with the increases in energy, increases in chemicals, and those types of things. The current, one of the assumptions in the model is the current sewer fund balance is zero. And, you know, since the amount of money we need is what we have plus what we need, this is just telling us we need it all. We don't have any fund balance to work with. The other reason this particular point is important, you'll see in the recommended rates, there's a large increase in the first year. This is the reason why. We currently, and if you look in detail, you'll see that we need money to do what we're doing right now, even before the new plant. So we need to increase the rates more in the first year than we otherwise would have had to do if we had a bigger fund balance. However, we did look at what would happen if we separated that, say we didn't have the big fund balance, big increase in the first year, but we try to spread that over 5 years. And we concluded with just simple arithmetic analysis that the amount of money that the ratepayers would be paying at the end of 5 years would be about 10 or 15% more than they would pay if we do it now. And that goes back to this fact that we're starting with a zero fund balance, and we need money to operate. If we don't have money to operate in the sewer enterprise fund, we have to find other money, which generally comes from the general fund, and they'd have to subsidize that, which has a cost as well. We also, there's a recommendation, which is standard for reserve policy, that we build both an operating reserve. In this case, we're assuming 3 months of operating costs, and a reserve for our capital, which assumes the plant will last 50 years. And so that's about 2% per year that we need to put aside to be able to fund a future replacement of this plant. With all that said, we ended up with 2 rate options. We had many over the period of time. We got down to 2. The first one, and the magic of that one, that was what the state had told us originally, would be the maximum amount they could give us, which is $75 million in grants, plus a state revolving fund loan of the 36.3 million difference. That's option 1. After a session with the state, they said, well, that may or may not happen based on, you know, they can't guarantee it. It's possible, but it won't happen. They want to look at another option. The other option includes, if we don't get any state grant funds, but we do get the maximum amount of SRF loan of $50 million, and then we get a private loan for the $61.3 million. The difference between those two, and I'll hit that in a minute, is really the cost of those loans. Private loan is considerably more expensive than the subsidized state loan. So we can go to the next, there we go. And you can see here, we explain it in the state revolving fund loan. It's a 30-year repayment at a 2.1% interest. You'll notice the payments will start when the plan is complete, which is in 2029. In the private loan, even using a 35-year repayment plan, you notice the interest rate is considerably higher, and the payments will begin immediately. Meaning, as soon as we draw down the loan, they're going to want their interest payments, and that's the difference. Both of them require, of course, the coverage ratios we talked about by covenant, that if we fall below that covenant, that the debt service ratio, that we can be technical default. So looking at the proposed rates under those 2 scenarios, you see here that we currently, we just increased the rates in January of 26, and you see those, or excuse me, the current rates were lasted just July 1st, and you see the current rates. And then you see the rate options for 1 and 2. One of the things we looked at in the rate is the way of modernizing our rates. And one way that communities have done this, you saw it first in water rates, where they said, we want to incentivize people to use less water. And we do that primarily in water rates with a tiered system, where we use what's considered a minimum amount of water that most people would use based on some studies. That plays a per unit water usage of less. If you use more than that, you pay a little more. If you use a lot more, certain communities adjusted that. And that's been used for a long time. If you remember, that went back to the Hold the Drought discussion. It was a few years ago that we were mandated to look at ways to incentivize conservation, and we did that. We've applied that same method, because the same economics apply on the sewer side, for the water that goes down the sewer pipe, excuse me, and is treated in the plant. the more water, the bit more it costs to treat it. So we looked for a way to balance those costs between the amount of water you're actually sending down your sewer line to the plant, and, you know, compare that to other people of similar status, residential or non-residential. Based on that, we came up with a fixed charge proposal, which is what it really costs to do just a flat rate administering the system. And that's the fixed charge, and that's the same for everybody. It's on a per account basis, whether you're commercial or residential, it's the same. On the variable charge, the city of Greenfield, it is used, and we used here 1,000 gallons of usage as units. Others, I talk about that because a lot of other communities use a cubic feet method, which you'll see that unit in their bills. That's about 750 gallons. We use 1,000 gallons because it's been used for a long time. We have so on a fixed charge for 1,000 gallons, you'll see the rates every year for that amount of water you use. In the residential, we capped that at 5,000 gallons per month. And the reason of that was in single family residential, most of the water, you know, is used in the house except for large lots where it goes for irrigation or other uses, washing your car, et cetera. Water does not go down the collection system and ends up in the plant. So we wanted to figure out that. So the 5,000, the magic of that was an average of what single family users were using. So we capped at that. So those users will not pay more, recognizing that water does not go to the plant. So therefore we're not incurring that cost. That's the methodology. For the, excuse me, for the non-residential use, non-single family uses, we didn't use that. And that's because for those uses, generally there are more than one meters. They generally have an irrigation meter. They also have a fire service. They have a fire meter, and then they'll have a domestic meter as well. So those are all metered. So we know how much water those uses are, and we know that most of that is going into the system. There is a possibility where a particular use may say, look, we're recycling our own water. We use more water and we don't use it, and we don't send it down the sewer. In such a case, we said we'll have a process to evaluate that. So looking at that's the methodology that was used, and you see what it means. The next slide, we want to do the kind of rate impacts to show you a couple things. Again, this is looking at fiscal year 2026 only. You'll notice the current rates in red and the proposed rates in gray. You just see that they go up. Again, this shows for single family, you'll see that the rates do go up to that maximum amount of you'll see across the top recommending at the 5,000 gallons per month usage. You see it's dead flat after that, so you don't pay a higher fee. They say the same fixed charge and 5 units of variable charge. The thing that's interesting about this chart, and it was kind of an intent of the design, is for those people who use significantly less water than the average, they're going to pay less money on these new rates than they would have under the old rates. You see that in the first part of the chart. And those are the smaller units, maybe seniors living by people who have teenagers in the house and don't flush the toilet as much, don't take as many showers or as long as showers, don't do as many loads of wash, don't run as many dishwashers, those kinds of things. That's why they use less water. And in those cases, it's appropriate, we believe, to charge them less than people who use more water. For the non-residential uses, non-single family residential uses for the 2026 year, again, using 3 units, which remember 3 units is the 5,000, so that's 15,000 gallons a month on average. You can see the same thing applies it for the low water users. Even the non-single family residents will pay less water. This could be a small store that sells, you know, just pre-manufactured items, small gifts or whatever, who don't have, you know, washing machines. They don't run a lot of water inside for their process. They would pay less. But those who do use a lot of water would pay more because the cost is substantially higher, as represented there. The next slide shows a comparison. Again, the local comparison shown on the left is for fiscal year 26. We're trying to show that, you know, based on the cities we know in the area, Gonzales, Soledad, and King City, and then looking at the city of Greenfield's current rates and the 2 options, it gives you a sense of what they would be compared to the other rates. Now, in terms of disclaimer, these were the latest information we have. We don't necessarily know when the other cities will be in the same situation we are and have to adopt new rates. They do it fairly regularly, but we believe these are current as of now. We're not aware of any particular jurisdiction that has something before their council now, but those happen as has happened here. The chart on the right side just gives you kind of a 5-year comparison, and it shows that our rates would be substantially higher by the 5th year, particularly with option 2. And that again goes to the amount of money that we have to come up with in the particular situation we were in. It's difficult. This is just kind of for your information. It's difficult to apply anything other than our estimated costs are here. Other communities have other estimated costs based on the age of their system and other improvements that have gone on and their funding balance, et cetera. So it's not an apples to apples comparison, but it gives you a comparison. Are we comparative? The other thing that I think the council and everybody will see, if we're forced into the option 2 where the state doesn't give us any funding, you can see the impact has to come from our rates, and that's what this really demonstrates. Just one quick thing on, I think we need the capacity. Yeah. Oh, that's it. Well, I was going to just have a quick thought. Oh, there it is. Yeah, just one of the components in there is an increase in the capacity charge, which is the charge to pay for new capacity. It's not fair, we believe, for the existing customers to pay for new development. This is a way of making sure that new development pays the proportional cost, and only the proportional cost for their new requirements for the system. That's in terms of if we need to replace mains, or add lift stations, or enlarge the size of the plant. This is in the current code. It hasn't been updated for many years, which is the major reason why the fee increase looks so large. So that's kind of the basic of what this report tells you. There's a lot of definition in here, but the intent tonight was to explain a little bit about why these rates are necessary and the assumptions that were used to generate them, and to then receive kind of comments from the council, any questions, and ask the council to receive any public comments, and then provide direction to staff about how we want to move forward in the future. There's some suggestions about having maybe additional workshops and other special meetings. We think that's probably appropriate, but with that, I'll end my report and I'm ready to questions.
All right. Let's open it up for public comments first on this. So any public comments on K2?
I apologize if I didn't understand everything correctly. I was trying to do my best, but if I'm understanding correctly, one of the options is to be charged depending on how much individual household uses versus a flat rate. And I would definitely be in support of individual usage versus a flat rate for individuals, just like PG&E does. And I really appreciate when they break it down too. And they show the different, categories, et cetera. And all the information provided in terms of best times to, do X thing or don't do X thing. So information is welcome, in terms of helping us conserve water. And the incentive would be that we would pay less. So I'm all for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. So I'm just kind of looking at other options. I know Soledad and the prison are basically joined as far as treating their wastewater. That option has been offered to Greenfield as well. That would cost less. Having a treatment system is good, but you got to remember the cost is going to continue to go up because you got maintenance on that. The other option is, can we expand the pond until things pick up? The state of California just put us in a real bad situation here. I mean, bad situation. I took a semester of wastewater treatment. It wasn't for me, but I do have the knowledge basically of how it works. Can we put in a recycling system in there so that we can lower the effluent of what's being treated? It's another option. I think this community is pretty darn poor, and especially the times that we're living in right now, it's tough for everybody. Increasing the rates, I mean, a $35 million, I mean, I would say if you're going to go with the state and you're going to wait for that money, well, get the money first. You know, secure the money. And then maybe you can look at it, maybe increasing the rates. But like I said, I offered those other two or three options. But I think a lot of people are struggling here in Greenfield. It's not a wealthy community at all. A lot of people are struggling. And I just kind of want to offer those options. I just get a little concerned about how we got to this point, and then how the state has just put us in this bad situation. Like I said, the fact that somebody else could treat our sewage, and Marina and Monterey, they do it. I mean, they joined, because $111 million for a community like this, it's a lot of money. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. The city applied for the state revolving fund in September and October. The results were that the grant was denied. The city applied as a DAC, a small disadvantaged community. And but the city didn't know that, and that the MHI had risen beyond the 80% threshold. So that kicked out that grant application. But just think, if the city would have known that, they could have applied for the large category of the state revolving fund. I just noticed a few cities, you know, a lot larger than Greenfield in the Central Valley. They awarded, one was awarded 26 million, another in the 30 million. So that opportunity, I'm talking about spilled milk here, I know, but I think we need to learn from that. Secondly, the ratepayers for the city of Greenfield, as John Martinez mentioned, about our situation with our economics here in town. We're a farm worker community. And as far as an upgrade to our wastewater treatment plant facility, I think we need to look at two options. We've got time right now because you all supported the building moratorium. So after September 25th, there's no more permits to be awarded to anybody, is from my understanding. And so I think the two options that the ratepayers that we'd like to see as a community would be the current bioreactor modular design, the one that you all are working on. And then number two would be the wastewater, a wastewater pipeline to Soledad's wastewater treatment plant that has a capacity of 5.5 million gallons per day. That's pretty, the state of California, that's a huge investment that they made there. There's a lot of consolidation going on in the valley. You need to look at that. It's not something that's new or old. It's something that I think is going to be more and more police departments. We tried with the city of Soledad. Actually, we did it. We were the first ones when I was on the city council. We did the first agreement with the city of Soledad for law enforcement services. And it didn't work out. We brought it back to the city of Greenfield, but those are options you need to look at. And then also a cost analysis. I was talking to Mike Tidwell earlier, and he said that definitely on the pipeline to Soledad's wastewater treatment plant needs an engineer's analysis. You know, everybody's saying, well, you got to go underneath the river. No, you can go through underneath the bridge at US 101 in the Salinas River. So thank you for the opportunity, Mayor.
Thank you very much, John. Anyone else? Okay, I'll bring it back to council. Questions, comments? What do you start, huh?
So maybe if we could, oh, go ahead. We could start with addressing what was brought up, since a couple of residents did bring up the Soledad thing. I know we don't have to, but I had brought it up previously, so I just want to reiterate that that question was asked and we discussed it about the Soledad pipeline and the feasibility of that, the cost of it, that it would not be cost effective to go that way. And that is still the position of Public Works, right?
Yes, we
Speak on
discussed that. Again, Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez, you brought that up a couple of months ago as an alternative option. I know that that was probably about 15 years ago discussed. In current times, we would have to try to obtain easements from every property owner along the way, as well as Caltrans and either Jack and Bore under the Salinas River, or like Mr. Huerta said, be able to attach to the bridge at Caltrans. But then there's also various other permits that be required for going above a river or underneath the river. So they would be quite costly, but also quite lengthy. Sometimes it takes, 6-7 years to get an easement. You could put together a master plan of where this pipeline would go, but not every property owner would necessarily agree to it. And then we'd have to look into eminent domain and other various things. So, we're already at capacity. We're actually over capacity. In the last 4 months we've been in violation. And that's why the council supported the building moratorium. And that would just extend it even longer. I mean, we're looking at, the two different options from way back when, and it didn't make sense at the time to go to Soledad. And so if we were to start all over, even to do an analysis, a financial analysis of what would make more sense, that would also be a costly endeavor to do so.
It would be costly. It also would be, you'd have to deal with all the environmental hazards and different situations.
Costly and timely.
And how long would it take to install, starting from scratch? We have a
Right.
pretty much shovel-ready project ready to go. We
Yes.
need financing for that project.
That is correct. We have 90% plans as of this past November in 2024.
Just an example of doing something like that, when they're talking about putting in the overpasses in south of Salinas and north of Chular. That's been ongoing for approximately about 1.5 years through TAMSI. And it probably has at least another, well, it's been way before that, but it probably has almost another 3 years before it even gets started. They're still having town hall meetings. There's just a lot of things that have to go on for that to happen. So you're looking probably, even if we did something like that, probably like 6 years. I don't think we can wait 6 years.
Yes, and even on a small level, it takes a lot of time to get response from Caltrans. We've asked for a scope change on an encroachment permit, and we've been going back and forth with them for 4 months.
A lot of community, what I've been hearing is this the only option that we have?
So back before my time, there were various options that were looked at with the creation of the master plans. Going back, this all started back in 2017, and the ball's been rolling ever since. So all the master plans were completed and compiled together, but then the water board was talking about this membrane bioreactor system, new technology. It's less expensive, and it treats the wastewater better. And so we did a study, amended that wastewater treatment plant master plan to go with the MBR system. So that has actually been the choice for quite some time. Those are above ground units. if we were to switch back and go, say, similar to King City's looking at an oxidation ditch system, we need more room. And that would actually be more costly, to put in an oxidation ditch system than to do the MBRs.
Yeah, I was working on the original master planning efforts for both the water sewer and the wastewater treatment plant. And we looked at the discussion because there had been discussion. My understanding was in 2013, 14, there was a study done that requested an RFP. They did a study. I wasn't able to find one in the city records anywhere. And I talked to the consultants. I knew they weren't able to produce one, but I think my understanding was the study was done, and that's why when we did the master plan, we looked at options. That option was kind of dismissed. And from a common sense point of view, I hear a lot of people talking about it. It's not a coincidence that sewer plants are in the lowest part of the city. That's why they're near the river. That's why they're near the ocean. That's why they're near the lakes, because gravity is going to do your work. The biggest expense with pumping that sewage is 24-hour pumps that run all the time and use a lot of energy. And they have to overcome the friction within the pipe and all that other stuff. That's why those kinds of long pumping systems don't work. I mean, if you look at the California Water Project that pumps the water from the Mono Valley to Los Angeles, you'll notice that they pump the water to a few high points and then let it flow downhill, and do that again several times. So they don't have to pump it continuously for a lot of reasons. So again, I think one of the reasons it was dismissed by the design teams looking at the study was those kinds of pumping systems are just inherently expensive. Now, we haven't done one lately. We could look at that, but I think as Ms. Tugel said, that it's going to take a long time to do that study, and then we're going to find out that we're not aware of anybody who's done that. Our firm has worked on several projects where that was also an option brought up. Instead of building the plant in our city, why don't we pump it to another city that has a plant? And when we looked at those in those cities, it didn't work out for a variety of reasons. And those were simpler since they were smaller and we had a remote area. I'm not exactly sure how you would use, for instance, we talked about eminent domain to get right away. Under what authority would the city get eminent domain outside its boundaries? I mean, there are ways, but I mean, you're going to have to build some kind of, and it's going to be very complex and take a lot of
Complex
time.
and very long term.
Yeah, it's not going to be a quick or easy alternative from, anyway, I'll just leave it at that, but we did look at it. The other thing I mentioned where we're talking, there was a discussion about, did we look at expanding the existing plant, the ponds or whatever? That was absolutely looked at. And the short answer to that question is, based on the new standards adopted by the state, our pond technology will not produce the results that are required based on the flow. So expanding the existing plant does not get us a solution.
So the quality of the effluent is
Yeah,
not.
the water quality just can't, this kind of technology does not meet the standards, particularly in the constituent in question is the nitrogen. The nitrogen is in the water that produces other problems when it gets into the groundwater. That can't be removed with this kind of plant. That's why we said early on that expanding the existing plant and making it run longer would not be a viable option, because we knew the standards were coming. The new standards did come. The city was enrolled in the new standards. We just can't meet the new standards. Even if our existing plant ran perfectly and we made it bigger to the flow, we could not meet the standards. And that's why we looked at other options. Jamie mentioned the bigger, longer ditch thing, which is, I think it's helpful to remember what we're trying to do with sewage treatment is do what nature kind of does. And all these technologies, we call them these filters and these other, longer systems, they just try to accelerate nature's process. When you increase the flow, it takes longer. So if you got a lot of flow in a small area, you're going to need to have some technologies. We add air, we add chemicals, we speed it up. And now with the MBR, the biological, we have filter systems where we try to, instead of letting the large pieces of oil, whatever that is, settle to the bottom, which takes time and gravity induced, we're gonna speed that up with energy. We're gonna pump it. We're gonna filter it. We're gonna distribute it, and we're gonna spray it and do all kinds of things. That's how we do it. That's all this new technology is just trying to do what Mother Nature's been doing for thousands of years. We've got to do it faster and in a smaller footprint. So but unfortunately, that smaller footprint and that new technology is expensive, as you see in the study you have before.
Well, and also, in all due respect to Soledad, but if you switch over and put them in charge of disposal. Who's to say, the rates are gonna remain constant? They're not, I'm sure. So, if we can keep control of our own project, I think we'll be better off in the long run. Also, just for everybody's knowledge, we have been working on this plant that we have, trying to increase capacity and also kind of Band-Aid it along and try to get the capacity up. We've replaced the headworks a few years ago. We've been dredging the ponds. We have also installed a sludge press. Is that correct?
Yes.
Trying to increase capacity out there. So we have been working on this, and that's one reason you'll see also that our balance is down to zero. We've been spending a lot of money trying to keep the thing operational. So just
Yeah,
let
and
people know.
Mayor, if I might add, I think there was another comment from Mr. Martinez about can we expand the ponds until things pick up? So this year we actually did construct 16 acres of temporary emergency spray fields. And it is on our own property just east of the ponds. And so we have parameters with the water board of when we can run them and when we can't run them. And so that's been helping us out quite a bit. A few months back, we were ready to completely just overflow. Every single rapid infiltration basin was full. I know a couple of council members and Mayor, you went out there and saw what was going on. Staff has been working really, really hard. We've expanded our hours. We are working 12-hour days with very minimal staff. The operators and maintenance workers that are with us care about these plants. Over the last 2 months, we've been able to actually empty 2 of the RIBs, rapid infiltration basins, rebuild up the levees from the wind damage with the severe winds, and those are both back in service as of today. We're working on a 3rd one. We're trying to beat winter. So, because, the daylight's going to be less, we're going to be able to not spray as much. When it rains, we cannot use the spray fields. So, it's very nerve-wracking, but they're doing everything they can. We're also using contractors and consultants to help us with that. And where the plant has come just in 2 months to get ready for winter is extraordinary. Are we still at a place where we're what I'll call out of the woods? No. But yeah, we have expanded and, once we can build the new plant with the MBR system, all those solids aren't going to be going out there. We're going to be having recycled water. So it's going to be good water going into the ground. We're going to have a larger belt press to remove the solids. You're going to see campaigns coming out about fats, oils, and grease and indoor water recycling to keep the plant down. Don't flush anything. Just things like that. Flush toilet paper. Don't flush anything else. Don't flush your food or your fat, your oil, your grease. Put that in the trash or in the compostables. And you can make a difference. Everybody here in the city can make a difference in this plant until we can get a new plant built. Talking about Dr. Villarreal came up and was very pro individual usage because some people do already conserve inside their house and some people don't. So, there is a benefit, but there's much more than just a financial benefit. It's really the health of the plant. And so we're striving to hang on until we're able to get the funding to go out to bid and build this new plant, which is going to be really exciting.
Also, I just want to say too that we, councils all talk up and down the valley. King City's is working on a plant. Gonzales is looking at expanding their plant. So everybody is kind of in the same boat. So I think there's going to be larger numbers than what was showing up on your reports in the future coming years. So just to make sure everybody knows that we're not an isolated incident here. So
when we went over to the chamber mixture at Braga and all the mayors spoke, that was the one thing that everybody talked about was the infrastructure. Every city is having the problem. I look at those rates and I get scared. It frightens me because I said, what, like $194 in 2029? Like I can't even retire. and I can feel for the other people. What scares me also is that increasing the rates. Some of our apartments here in town, like the seniors, different things like that, they have water included in the rent. So when these increases do hit, you know, I'm afraid for them that they're gonna have the increase. Some of the rents are subsidized, but at the same time, the rents are gonna have to get increased. I mean, we have landlords here, the apartment managers here, and I'm sure that they're thinking the same way. So it's not anything that we take lightly as far as raising rates. You know, I really want to see like all options. One of the questions I had, you had a current rate and a fixed rate. Is it possible to do, fixed rate where you said 1,000 gallons? Can you do either one, or we're gonna just be on one?
So,
Did I say that right? Sorry.
well, under the proposed rates, we have a fixed rate component, which is proposed, and that's to cover the fixed costs, such as, you know, there's the reading the meters and doing that maintenance and sending out the bills. That's kind of a fixed cost, and it's kind of the same no matter what we're doing. And doesn't really depend on the volume they're using, it's just a fixed administrative cost. Everybody's gonna pay that same fixed cost across the board. After that, then we're trying to incentivize conservation and better use. You know, and that's talked about a lot. So we're just trying to catch up. A lot of other communities have already done that. We're gonna, so we think it makes sense. We think it makes sense in terms of, well, our burden in setting these rates is to make sure the rates are proportional to the impact to the cost of providing the treatment. And we've tried to do that. And since when you read the report, you'll see we got two major components in the treatment part. And that's the way we deal with the organic elements that are in the effluent. We need to treat that with some chemicals and some the introduction of oxygen to speed up that process. That costs money, and just removing these solids we talked about, that costs money. Those are the two big components of treatment. The other component is getting the effluent to the plant. It isn't all level. That's why, you know, on the agenda tonight, you had one of the lift stations. Those lift stations are there when we can't get the kind of flow that's required to make that work. We have to pump it, and we only have a few of those. Some cities have a lot of them. Some places, individual houses have their own pump station to do that. So we're trying to be efficient and incentivize. You know, I remember when I started years ago doing this, everybody had a toilet that used 5 gallons per flush. And over the years, they've reduced that. And as we speak right now, that is on the table at the State Energy Commission, again, looking at, can we further reduce the water? We went from 5 to 3 to 2.5 to 2 to 1.5, and how about 1 1/4 and 1 less than that? So that's being discussed right now. You know, some people will say that there's a limit. You can do that because you still got to move all the stuff that's in your house to the plant. And that takes, you know, a certain amount of flow of water and some other things to do that. So anyway, so that's being considered. And one of the things, and why I bring it up, one of the things that people can do is, if they have those old toilets that leak, number one, don't let them leak, and number two, use a more efficient toilet. They can make a major assumption. Now, it also depends, you know, if you have a house with 4 kids, those of us that have kids know that you know, they flush a lot more than adults, for whatever reason. That's just the way it is. But if you're a senior family and you don't, then there's a real opportunity. Changing your fixtures. I mean, we talk about toilets, of course, but you know, 3 years ago when it first started as part of the drought process, we went around distributing, you know, reduced flow shower heads and kitchen faucets and bathroom faucets. All those have been upgraded over the years, but a lot of people still have their older appliances. There's an opportunity there. You know, one of the things we're going to look at is, there used to be a lot of grants available to help do that. We're committed to trying to look for those to see if we can help people. In the same way that years ago, when we upgraded the codes for fire protection, we went around and tried to pass out smoke detectors to make everybody safer. And I think that was a very successful program. We'd like to do the same thing with these types of appliances. Anyway, there's a lot of that goes into that. We're looking at those options, and we hope to send that message to the community that we really want to help them. And this is really a group issue. It's not us telling them they have to do this. It's, you know, one of the things you heard about can we delay it with the moratorium? Yes, except that you were already in violation, we're not meeting the standards and we got to deal with that today. And waiting for other options, if anybody's got any other options, we're looking for them, but we've looked a lot hard. And the city manager and his team has been looking very hard to find options and it's not easy. So that's why we're here. And this report just demonstrates that. I mean, you look at the cost, if the ratepayers have to pay that $100 million, I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, for most of us, we don't even stand $100 million, but have to finance.
Right. Well, and two, we've been talking about the capacity, but we're also not meeting treatment standards. Is that correct?
Correct. We are actually over our allowed capacity, which is 1.2 million gallons average day for a month. And we've hit 1.2 even as of today, just, we're September 9th, just for the month so far, which is a little over a week, we're at 1.22 average for the day. Now that changes every day, but we do track that and watch it. But we've been 1.2 or 1.202. We've been right on that cusp. And so, again, that's where the moratorium came in, but we're also not meeting our total suspended solids allowances or our biological oxygen demands, nitrates. We have a whole slew of other things that we're in violation for. The water board has been wonderful working with us. They know that we're doing everything we can to keep this plant going and do our best until we can get the funding to build a new plant.
Okay.
So, hey, I do have a question relating to that, because we did talk about this issue a couple of months ago. Well, we've been talking about it way longer than that, but this was when we started talking about programs and ways to mitigate how much water we're using. But I haven't heard anything, and I know it still is a short period of time, but because this is like an emergency situation with our water, what is being done already to have these like water saving programs, outreach to the community about water saving, so that we are already trying to mitigate that, because that was cited as one of the things, that we're going to do this right away, but what are we doing? Because it has been a couple of months, and a couple of months when we have a water issue is still a big deal.
Yes, so we finished the contract yet? Okay, so we're in the process of signing the contract for actually a crisis communication company to assist us through this process for a couple of months. And they will be addressing the indoor water conservation, but it's really to get the information out about the rates and how people can help. And then staff is still going on fats, oils, and greases, going to different events. We're going to be inspecting restaurants again. The building official and I have been working together on just a really basic document to hand out to restaurants that don't have their grease traps on how they can get a permit, because the average business owner doesn't know, what do I do to get a grease trap put in, and it's got to be an appropriate size and things like that. So we're working on that. It's almost done. And so we've actually made quite a few strides, but it is hard to jump into that, when we do have other duties as well. But we are making, all the plans are coming into fruition right now. I also spoke with police chief and captain yesterday for part of our interim capacity management plan, that we will, Public Works will provide some training with the community service officers on the municipal code for illicit connections to the sewer, things like RVs that are in backyards that are connected to the single family residence sewer. Those they're not being charged. It's extra added people, and it's a violation of code. And so we're going to be moving into that as well later this month.
What do you need from us tonight? I know this is not an action item, so can give council some direction. What do you need from us?
Yeah, so what we'd like to do, first of all, I'd like to just make a clarification, just in answer to one of Mr. Martinez's questions. Yes, there is and Jamie mentioned it, there is a recycled water component to the new system.
The new process.
Yes.
MBR system.
Right, MBR system, right. What we're looking for council is, this is really a critical point to get, I mean, these sewer rates that you'll be considering at some point in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, however many weeks it is. It's really important for everybody to understand the nature of how the rates, the new rate structure is different from the old rate structure. The rates that we have on the graphs are averages, and it's gonna go up like this, but for individual ratepayers, it's gonna be different for everybody. If you're a single family residence, it's gonna be a different trajectory based on the amount of water you use. So for us, it's really extremely important to get the word out to the public. Because when it comes down to council approving a rate increase and a 218 vote going to the public, they need to know what they're voting on. Part of the crisis communication plan will be addressing that, but we want to have at least 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 public forums, whether they're workshops, special meetings, maybe to start, hopefully, check your calendars, next Monday, to get the first one underway, so that we can start delving into more details that we're not delving into right now.
Okay.
So just if you would allow us to do that, any questions, comments, or suggestions about how we should do that?
I think we should get on them right away. I think we need to be sure and have them at various times of the day also, right? So some evening meetings. We are a working community, so.
I just wanted to mention, chime in on the toilet flushing. You can put in a 1.5 gallon toilet. It doesn't work, so you flush again. So you just went to 3 gallons. No, never happens here. Same thing like stores or public restrooms who have the paper dispensers to dry your hands, and we'll just make it shorter. Well, then I'm just gonna wait 3 or 4 times to get the one that I want. Or your toilet paper, it's narrower and smaller. Well, that doesn't mean I'm gonna only use that one little tile. I'm still gonna use the length that I want. So sometimes those things backfire. However, there were some good things that have come. When they took my garbage can out of the blue or out of the brown, and they took my brown garbage can and they gave me this little one. I'm like, how in the world are we gonna manage this when I'm at capacity every time, squishing it down to make sure that lid closes? Well, lo and behold, here we are. I don't always fill up that garbage can anymore. Sometimes it becomes down to the awareness. Some of it was our sorting. We need to recycle better. We need to, when we're shopping, do we really need all this, or cooking, or different things? So we start educating and learning ourselves. And I appreciate everybody that's here. And I do want people to be upset. We should be upset that our system is where it is, but we didn't get it there. But we did do something to get it to there. So we're all kind of responsible for where it's at. And I appreciate that you're here, and I appreciate that you aren't happy with the rates. But if we don't fix this, I think the rates are going to get worse. It's not going to get any better. I would like to buy a new car. Mine is 26 years old, and I thought I'd go this time. Well, it's been every year. Well, I'll wait till next year. I'll wait till next year. I'll see what it. Well, guess what? Now the cars are at the $50,000-$60,000, and I should have bought it 10, 15 years ago. Well, no, now you have to pay for the maintenance and everything. So everything ages, things break down. It costs money, but I guarantee you that we will be in a worse place if we don't flush toilets. We will have more people here angrier. And I will have more tomatoes thrown at me or my house because things will get worse. So I appreciate the concern, and we should not be happy with the situation that we're in. We should not be okay with it. But the fact that you're here tells me the word is getting out there. The situation, we're in a crisis. And we're not gonna be the people who heard that there's a hurricane coming and we're gonna go to the beach and see how high the waves get. You know, we're not that dumb. We're not gonna be the ones that there's a tsunami warning, oh, let's go to the beach and see how high that water flood is gonna come. We're a smart people. Yes, we're a humble city. We have, different levels of income, and no, we're not the richest out there, but we are not the dumbest people. And I know that this community can come together, whether we like it or not. We're gonna come together and we're gonna get a wastewater plant out there that we can be happy with in 3 years, in 10 years for our kids and our grandkids. I know that. So it's okay to get upset, but join the team and let's find a solution and work together to make this happen.
Good point, as far as getting more expensive. Everything seems to get more expensive seems like every week. So anyway. Do you have enough direction from us?
Yes, we do. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Right. We will now move on to K3, resolution city council, City of Greenfield appointing the voting delegate and alternate to the League of Cities Annual Conference. Staff report, please.
So this is our annual, have to vote for a alternate and a delegate for the League of California Cities. And I believe the only two people that have been signed up is Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez and Councilmember Ortiz to attend the League of California Cities in Long Beach. Meeting usually is the last day of the event, which is a Friday. And I believe it's around lunchtime.
Yeah, usually it's around lunch. Any volunteers?
I did it. Oh, does it have to get open to public comment or we can just go?
Oh,
first?
yeah, we should
Okay.
do a public comment.
Okay.
Do we have any public comment on this? I'd be surprised, but seeing that now will bring back to us.
I did it last year. I don't mind doing it or being the alternate. And if it's just us two, I think it's gonna be one of us. So.
You're the alternate, want to do that? I know
Okay.
you're kind of, well, if anything, I could step in,
Okay,
but you can do that.
that works for me. I'm happy to do that. So
You wanna make a motion?
move to appoint myself. I'm gonna take a comment for that. But I mean, yeah,
Appoint you
thank you.
as the primary.
Voting
We just
delegate.
have to
As the Ortiz.
adopt the resolution.
What's that?
We just have to adopt the resolution.
Okay,
Let's adopt.
all right. I need a motion to adopt resolution 2025-83.
So move.
Need a second.
Second.
All right, been moved second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passes. All right, we're not doing closed session. City attorney report,
I have nothing to report.
city manager report.
Nothing to report. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you, everyone. Lots of comments. Thank you all for coming tonight. Meeting's adjourned.